All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our PFA Network Town Hall. Thank you all again for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started. We are recording this meeting so that we can add it to our website so you all can go back and view any of our town halls if you missed one or if you would like to revisit a town hall. And we do have live transcript available. I believe it was just turned on. On your menu down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a CC, and that is how you can turn on your live transcript.
In progress.
These are our agreements, excuse me, we go through before each meeting. So I'll go through them now. They are practice active and empathetic listening and sharing. We want to challenge the idea and not the person. Be both teachers and learners. Take space and make space. Stories stay and lessons leave. We want to use I statements. One person speaks at a time, and be here, be present now. This is our agenda for today. We've got lots to go over. We have some upcoming events, some community updates. We have talk about our color of care screening and talk about our coffee chats. We've been doing the format of topic focused coffee chats for almost a year now. And so we want to talk a little bit about that. We've got a new skills development opportunity available for you all and some discussions about engagement opportunities. So lots to go over. We'll go ahead and get started. This is our check-in question for today. Since we have so many wonderful people on today, we'll go ahead and add in the chat your name, where you're calling in from, and what is your favorite family or friend tradition. We're coming up on the holiday season for us here. So it doesn't have to be holiday season related, but what is your favorite tradition? I am calling in from Eugene, Oregon, and my favorite is that with my family, we celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. So we do big Christmas Eve dinner and open all of our presents Christmas Eve night. That is one of my favorite traditions. I've got the chat over here. We'll see. Susan's is seeing far-flung family is my favorite thing about Thanksgiving. Yes. We recently booked all of our Thanksgiving travel, and that makes me so happy. It's coming up. Dorothy says Thanksgiving, which most likely, oh, you'll miss this year. Livy likes listening to everyone's gratitudes. Emily, being with your girlfriends. Love it. Oh, Victoria does New Year's Eve dinner with friends. I like that. Bill likes decorating the Christmas tree with granddaughters. Wrapping the ugliest gift. Abby says, wrapping the ugliest gift you can find in the prettiest packaging. The person opening the gift can't laugh and has to pretend that it's a fabulous gift. I don't think I could do that. I'd just be laughing. A bean auction or Yankee swap with friends. I don't think I know what that is.
That is white elephant swap or gift exchange. So
Okay.
everything is wrapped, so nobody knows what's inside it. Packages are often disguised. Way to really make it work well is to have your host or hostess package everything. So those who've donated the items from their closets don't know what's in the packages, and they may end up swapping them or buying them themselves. When I was little in upstate New York, we used to do the bean auction presentation of it, where we were doled out little like black beans or kidney beans in a souffle cup, and they were counted out, and everybody got the same number to bet with or to swap with. So it taught the kids math, basic math,
Yeah.
the value of their monies. But it's just a fun way to sort of make you aware of your abundance and your excess and share.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I had never heard of a bean auction before, so that's that's really cool. Wow, we've got lots in here. Bobby says favorite thing is seeing family that I have not been able to connect with for a long time. Yeah, that seems to be the thread here. And Linda says we have an immediate family tradition of reflecting on favorite moments of the past year and setting a few fun goals for the coming year. New Year's. For the coming year, every New Year's, always well in our relaxing in our hot tub. Yes. That does sound very lovely. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing your family traditions. That's so special. Keep them coming in the chat if you haven't yet, and we'll go ahead and move forward with our meeting today. So just a PFA Network community update. We currently have 254 PFA Network members in the registry. So these are the people that are that have filled out the registry online and have answered a little more specific questions about their experience, their lived experience, so that we can connect them a little more closely with those engagement opportunities. And this map represents those folks. It's a heat map representing those folks that have filled out that survey. So looks like we have a pretty good range across the US of people. And then we've got one or two in Hawaii, we've got down in Brazil and up in Canada as well. So pretty good reach with the PFA.
How do you know I'm coming here? Why do you think I'm coming to see you? Huh?
And last week we had our color of care screening, or 2 weeks ago we had the screening of the color of care. So we had sent out a link for people to view the color of care documentary. We had 279 unique views of the actual documentary, which is really, really great. We love that it got spread out across everywhere, and so many people were able to view the documentary. And then we had a discussion with our DEI Leadership Council last week, and we had 30 participants and a wonderful discussion, and we look forward to having more opportunities like this in the future, kind of book club, movie club kind of opportunities for people to all watch or read one thing and then come together and discuss. We had a jam board available for folks to join in the discussion, and that got filled up pretty quickly. And so that's been shared out. We'll share it out some more. If you get the chance to watch the documentary and you want to add to the discussion, it will be open for you to add and look at other people's points of view. Did anybody get the chance to join in our discussion that would like to say a few words? Oh, Linda.
Well, Laura, I'll just jump in really quickly. I think I was really impressed with the number of views of the color of care screening. It was a really important documentary about the disparities in care for the Black and African American community in the US. And so it was an important, again, documentary as we continue to work towards equity across our health system. You know, we kind of have to know where we are to know where we're going. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I would encourage you. Our screening, unfortunately, is closed, but I understand that it is available on National Geographic. Oh, I'm sorry, Smithsonian.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if you haven't, and we always welcome comments for sure.
Mhm. Susan says it was a powerful film that taught me things I didn't know, even though I knew a lot already. Yeah, it's definitely taught me a lot as well.
Me
Well,
too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone who viewed and who joined us in the discussion. It was a very important discussion that we had. And so we have had a year of our coffee chats. These are all the ones we've had so far. We've done everything from Rose Diaz's wellness circle, and we learned about public commenting. Connie Montgomery shared her story. Black women with bleeding disorders are striving to be seen and heard. Bill Adams and Greg Merritt just last month shared about the patient revolution, providing careful and kind care. So thank you to everyone who has presented so far. It's been an amazing way for you all to connect with one another and to share resources and share discussions. And we've really enjoyed having you come every month and joining us with our coffee chats.
And just to kind of give a little bit of background, many of you will remember that we stood up the coffee chats during the pandemic because we didn't want anyone feeling isolated, and that was just kind of an open forum. And so this year we moved it into a little bit more formal, where we could hear from members of the community and so that others could learn. So I'm curious if there's any response to that transition. Are you enjoying these or this new format?
Rosie?
Well, for me, I have to tell you that it's probably one of the most moving things I did this year. You know, I share my sepsis story a lot, but that group that came together that day who had experienced sepsis in different ways and had lost loved ones to sepsis, I have to tell you, it cut me to my core, and it definitely made me want to fight harder and make people more aware of sepsis, especially healthcare professionals, and how hard it is for a family to lose somebody to sepsis, and how important it is that we do everything possible to be aware of sepsis and to be doing the right things on the right moments when someone comes into the emergency room or the clinic with sepsis. I've now been working with Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota was Department Hospital Association for the last 3 weeks on a whole series about sepsis and the 1 hour bundle, making sure that we do everything in the first hour, and there's a 1 hour bundle that not everybody is bought into, but we really are promoting it highly. So it really pushed me to get more involved again in the whole sepsis storytelling.
Well, we are so glad you joined us. That one in particular, the importance of sharing your sepsis story was, like you said, a very moving coffee chat. And we thank you for sharing your story, Rosie, with us. Always. You are a rock star, just like John said.
And I think that really speaks to the power of the coffee chats and coming together and raising a topic. Rosie, you raised it, and then so many others on that call were impacted. And then everybody walks away from that call with new information about how they can get involved in reducing sepsis. So it's a great community, I think, community format. I'm really seeing the power of this community coming together under these important topics.
And, you know, I looked around that room that morning, you know, the virtual room, and thought, I don't know a lot of these people, But then as they started to unfold their stories, I realized they came there because of the topic, not because of the coffee chat. And that was powerful to me, that, you know, they took time out of their day to come there because of the topic. And you know, and I think that's why having these topics is so important, because it really is powerful. It is powerful, and people might come and go for the coffee chats, but I think people come for what they need, and I think that's the other side of it. The fact that it's important to them, so it's what they need on that day. And you know, and I think about, you know, the stories that we heard from, you know, about losing a young child, or losing a 16-year-old, or losing a brother. I mean, those stories ring true to me, and I take that message with me, you know, as I talk to healthcare professionals, because they don't always understand how devastating this is to a family.
I love that point, Rosie, of the topics bring people, because with these coffee chats, we have seen people come and go for the topics. We've seen different faces each time, new faces. We've had the same people come each month, and any way that anybody wants to participate in these is valid, and we love that we have the space for you all to connect.
I mean, the same was true with Connie. You know, I learned a lot about, you know, the bleeding disorder and that. I mean, I've known Connie a long time, but didn't know her story. So, I mean, that was a very powerful one too. So,
thank you. Thanks, Rosie. Beverly?
I want to thank you also, Rosie. I didn't know that much about sepsis, and so it kind of encouraged me to go and find more about it. So I did go online and started looking at more things about sepsis, and I shared it with my church family. So thank you. It's something that I think we all need to know more about, especially in this time of who knows what vaccine, what diagnosis you're gonna, you know, what disease, who knows what's gonna come out next. And sepsis was very important. And you showed me that. So thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. I love that you took the information you got and passed it along. That's really great. Thank you. Anthony?
I'd like to talk about the documentary, change subject a little bit.
Go for it.
There were some awesome stories and some great people on there, but I would like us to expand on that further, because I heard a lot of stories and a few apologies and stuff, but I would like to know more about, like, what the medical profession does when they see that happening. Because I had a discussion with my primary care after that awesome documentary, and I heard some horrid stuff. So I would like to, maybe we could do another meeting, talk about what's being done about it, or what can we do about it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So, you know, as a melanated person myself, it's very important. And so, yeah, the discussion was awesome. Great people showed up to support, but I'd like to take that farther than just talking about it.
Most definitely. Yeah, we can look into action items from that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Anthony, that maybe a good place to start is the Jam board. One of the questions we had was, what action will you take as a result of what you learned from the documentary? So maybe that's a starting point. What a great idea. Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting me.
Of course, always. Thank you, Anthony. Any other thoughts on our coffee chats or community events? No. All right. Well, again, thank you to everyone who has shared in the coffee chat so far, and we look forward to more in the future. And speaking of our November coffee chat, we have Emily Newberry, I believe she's on, talking about her work using the experiences of person and family-centered care at Kaiser Permanente. So she will invite us into a conversation about how to increase the diversity of patients and families invited into their PFCC program, and in particular, how we can make hybrid meetings welcome as our COVID restrictions lift and in-person meetings become more common. So we look forward to having Emily on Friday, November 18th, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, I can add the registration into the chat in just a moment. Emily, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, when I'm able to come to these conversations, I always learn a lot. So while I'm listed as a presenter, really my hope is just to have a really good conversation so I can learn from all of you.
Yes, thank you. We look forward to it as well. I just added the registration in the chat there. You all can register our next coffee chat. All right, so we've kind of had this discussion with the coffee chats for this year, but what other types of community events would you all like to see or even lead in the future as we go into 2023 and beyond? I like Anthony's idea of making those action items in from the Color of Care documentary. Are there other maybe movies or books or documentaries that you all would like to see, or any other types of events that you would like to do in the PFA network? Rosie?
I know that when you asked me to do the sepsis, I had suggested doing something on MRSA and healthcare acquired infections because they're on the rise, especially since the beginning of COVID. And so I would still like to do that at some point and talk about why this might be happening and maybe get some other people's feedback in why they think it might be happening. I'm going to be presenting twice at the IHI forum, my story and looking at why MRSA and other healthcare acquired infections are on the rise as part of my presentation. But I think that there's so much more out there that we don't know. And I mean, I've had 3 experiences or 4 experiences of being in the hospital since the beginning of COVID. And so I have some stories of why I think it's on the rise, but that's my personal experience. I believe other people probably have experiences also that would probably add to the, as I said during the sepsis presentation, patient stories become data. And the more we can collect around patient stories that are similar, the more data we have collected about the experience and what might be leading to these infections. So.
Thank you. So kind of like maybe a listening session of some sorts around MRSA.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rosie. Sherry?
I'd like to see us become more of a targeted resource to the community who's looking for engagement advice. I think some of our core workshops are going to be helpful. I'm wondering how shareable they are. The reason I'm asking is that at the beginning of this year, PFANetwork started reorganizing and really looking at active engagement with stakeholders across all domains in PFANetwork and PCORI. And what we have found is that most of the membership of these organizations, the groups, the entities that become part of these organizations, have a patient stakeholder somewhere on their advisory board or their work groups, but it tends more to be a token advisor, just so that they can say they've got stakeholder of stakeholder voice there or stakeholder engagement in order to get funded. We've had some pretty extensive discussions. I'm on the engagement governance oversight for that for the foreseeable future, the next year or two at least. And we've been talking about potentially reaching out to this group about the possibility of creating some training courses that we could, right now we've got 10 potential patient stakeholders that it looks like we're going to onboard next month. And we want to sort of train them and mentor them and make them readily available to any work stream that might need them. So perhaps the front door is getting a deluge of requests, and we need some stakeholder voices to review some of those requests. We really want to raise up those people into a position where they can be fluid and go from one work group to another with that patient voice. And we've been very, very specific in our wording of what we're doing, that these are patients. They are not just a general stakeholder. So I guess the question I'm throwing out here is, what do we have that might be shareable? And what ways, if any, might that ability to share or power of sharing compensate this organization to continue its mission?
That is a good question.
I mean, core competencies, I could always give them the link to core competencies and have them go to the website. But my guess is that with the exception of the half dozen patient stakeholders that are on this movement to reorganize engagement across both networks, I doubt that the clinicians or the researchers or maybe even the administrative staff would take the time to go on their own and review those core competencies. I could be jaded in that, but
so Sherry, I'll jump in here. As you know, we have a number of training programs for the patient family partners, you know, around measurement, around quality improvement. We've kind of stayed away from research because we feel like there's a lot of good materials from PCORI because in all of their efforts. So I guess this might be a bit more of a, I'm kind of getting confused on whether the target audience for this training is the patient family partners, or is it the organizations, or is it a dual audience? And
I think it's a dual audience. There's two separate reasons why I'm asking. One is, as we look across all of the networks involved in PCORnet, as we look at the structures within PCORI, we're seeing that token patient voice pretty much consistently across all networks and all parts of all of those networks. And I think part of that is because researchers have heard the message in the past that they need to engage patients in their work. But I think most of them really don't understand the scope of that engagement. They don't understand that you can have 6 patients on a 12 or 15 person team. And because you're ultimately, whether it's research or whether it's patient care, you're ultimately there for the patient. That's the end reason that you're there. That's the reason for your work. And you need to understand what's important to the patient. So I think some of those core competencies would be helpful for the research teams. And I think that it would be helpful also for us to use in our training of that pool of patient stakeholders that we are going to be onboarding next month.
Gotcha.
So I guess I'm just throwing out this as a discussion item.
I appreciate that. I think I would love to consider how we might be able to do that on your timeline. if you're onboarding next month. But yes, let's continue to think that through. Great idea.
I think what they're doing is at the end of this month, they're going to be sending emails out to 10 individuals that
I
we've
see.
highlighted. And we've really tried to look very closely on that group of 10 to make sure that we augment in a really diversified way the members that we have on board right now. So we've targeted somebody from the LGBTQ community, and we've targeted an indigenous individual and a person who is a second generation immigrant from Southeast Asia. And we're just trying to get rid of the white and really meld it into into more of a representative look at the persons that we're serving. And so, it's not that we went out of our way to find specific individuals, but when we put our heads together, each of us pretty much knew somebody that wasn't quite like us demographically, but that really might bring a fresh voice to the table in an area about which many of us knew very little or nothing. So that's what we've spent the first probably 8 months of our work on, was really trying to identify quality voices in that patient community that were different from the ones that had been recommended to be part of this committee that we're working on. Actually, we've decided not to call ourselves a committee because a committee has oversight. We're a work stream. So we can act without being, without having to get permission to do certain things. We are totally independent to complete the work that we've been tasked to do and then present it for inclusion or assimilation, not for a vote of yes, we do or no, we don't. Our word is, this is what we've decided after very thoughtful consideration, and this is how you need to move. This is where you need to be in order to really be true to the mission, vision, value statements that are being presented. And that's a very freeing thing. And I can't honestly say I've been in a position like that before, where we've been given that much authority to really thoughtfully look at a system and see where its flaws are and see how we can gently, carefully, thoughtfully fix those flaws without putting too many noses out of joint.
Great. Well, sounds like great work.
So Libby, maybe you and I can have a conversation offline sometime in the next, let's see. Our next meeting for that group is going to be on December 1st. So if you want to just target a date and time between now and then and reach out to me, maybe you and I can have a talk about that.
Sure. That'd be great.
Thanks. Sorry, guys, to take your time away from this, but I think this might also relate to some of the things some of you are involved in too.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's very important work.
Relates to a lot of things.
And it sounds like maybe the next coffee chat would be a great one to go to too. I see Emily's note in the chat. To continue the conversation with others.
Thank you, Sherry. Beverly?
Let me say real quickly, Laura, what I'm hearing, not only from Rosie and not only from Sherry, is that what we need, if we're going to get more people, I think, as Rosie said, people are attracted to topics. It has to apply to them. And that is how I select where I'm going to serve, where I'm going to put my time and effort. And I'm wondering, when we start talking about, patients, we talk about hospital care. As a family caregiver, not only did I have the hospital, but I had the nursing home, I had the rehabs, I had home care facilities. So when we're talking about patient and navigating the system, You cannot leave out all of those other agencies that we have to work with before, during, or after the hospital care. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't look more towards topic rather than measurement, because people are not looking for measurement. When you're sick, you don't care about measurement. You're looking at urgent care and how much it's going to cost you. You're looking at whether or not you have to go into the ER or if you're going to go into the ER. You're looking at skilled nursing. You're looking, and even then, if you're looking for a child, you're looking for the disease. People of color are looking at sickle cell. They're looking at how many dialysis centers are on the corner and growing in the neighborhoods. Maybe we can somehow find a way to focus it or narrow it down to what people are looking at or what they care about.
I like that. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes here. Yeah, I like that more topic focus, kind of like how we focused the coffee chats. We can maybe look at maybe focusing some of our skills development or having those listening sessions in the future. I like narrowing things down a little bit. Thank you, Beverly. Joan?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to suggest when we were at that conference on complex care, I think complex care, first of all, is such a good topic, and it ranges, certainly all the way to all the DEI work that needs to be done, but also to elder care. And there was a woman who spoke at our lunch, and then she also spoke to the big group. I think it was Jenny Chen. Mm-hmm. And I just thought she was excellent in talking about complex care. And I wondered if that could be a good topic for us and maybe invite her to come and speak. I don't know, if she's available, but I just learned a lot from that and thought that was kind of an interesting topic that is so relevant right now in this world of specialists. How does complex care get coordinated? So just wanted to add that to your list.
Like that. Thank you, Joan. Thank you so much. And yeah, complex care is very complex, and we need to have, I think, more discussions on that. So yes, I really enjoy that or like that topic as well. All right, thank you, everybody. Any other ideas?
I have a really good idea for Libby, and it will make her smile. Libby, I think you should write a book or just have a manual or video or something that says strategies to navigate the healthcare system. And that means from the time you're thinking about going in to the ambulance, into the emergency room or urgent care, all the way out to discharge into assisted living or long-term care, the in-home care agencies, whether it's home care, home health care. Just this should take up a lifetime for you, Libby.
I think so too. Janice.
Oh, wait, can I respond to that? Hang on.
Yes, sorry.
With my mute button because I was giggling a little bit. That does sound like a rather large project, Beverly, but I'll undertake it if you'll be my editor.
No comment.
I get your point, though. I think something like that might be very useful.
Libby, I'll be happy to work with you as an editor.
Thank you, Sherry.
I would be happy
I was going
to
to
work.
make the offer to Libby.
Libby, I will help you. I know lots of stories, and I could maybe you wouldn't have to do as much writing if we could do the pass the mic thing.
I love that.
Just put together a manuscript team.
There you go.
Rosie and I know all about that.
Yes. Awesome.
I do like the idea of going from very beginning to as far as it can go. I like that.
Mhm.
Janice.
Hi, I'm sorry, my camera's not on, but I have a missing front tooth or crown, so
Sorry.
I look like a jack-o'-lantern. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Anyway, so that's why I'm not on. I just wanted to say that, this is a huge issue that's happening and nobody's really talking about it. But our hospitals in many areas around the US are filled with individuals who are unable to get into long-term care services, rehab and such because they're full and because of staffing shortages. So for instance, in Seattle, our Trauma One Hospital, Essential Hospital, Harborview, UW, about a month and a half ago, it had to shut down patients coming in unless they were trauma, right? So like, gunshot wounds, burns, very serious issues. And the reason being is they were over capacity by a number of hundreds of beds actually. But they had 100 people who they were unable to move into long-term care SNFs and rehabs. There's nowhere for them to go. And then the same thing happened a couple weeks later. And so it still is, we still have a number of people. And then I heard from somebody who I've served on the medical advisory for with Kaiser. And this woman contacted me and asked me if I knew this gentleman. And the name just kind of threw me off for a minute. And then I realized, oh yeah, we served in Kaiser Senior Caucus together. Anyway, he passed away and his spouse that he was taking care of has severe dementia. And she's now in another hospital. So we do know that they've had a really hard time placing these people and they're kind of playing a hospital dance. And so I think that something like, what's next for long-term care or because if your grandma or me or whoever, like I don't have support systems, right? I mean, people will help, but the reality is I don't have family. I can't rely on anybody for free all the time. If I broke my hip or, something major, I would end up needing that care and could end up in the hospital, right? So it's very, very serious. And this is an area of complex care, right? So it could be like with children with respiratory and COVID. I mean, it's just a whole big circle. So I'm just curious how many other hospitals this is happening to. And I know I talked to somebody else and they told a similar story, but really it's not getting out in the press at all. And it's a major staffing shortage, and there's just not, some places have them. If it's like Florida, Hawaii, some places where they might have a lot of elders have been prepared for it, but it's not only elderly, but they are definitely part of the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think of, like Joan mentioned, what Jenny had talked about, and you were there too at the complex care conference. So I think it's definitely an important topic and something maybe we can combine with that complex care topic, either a listening session or a coffee chat as well. Thank you, Janice.
Yeah, it's really bad. And some people are in the hallways in hospitals right now, and hospitals are shutting down because of lack of funding, right? So it could be a storm. And I think our voice is important here. And, I just think that we can have more cultural, appropriate care. We do need more long-term care SNFs and all that, right? But I don't know who funds them.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Janice. Looks like we do have some stories in the chat if you want to check those out from Rosie and Emily. And I will go ahead and put in the chat. It sounds like I've written down all these really great ideas and we've got some things to work with. And it also sounds like maybe some of you might have some coffee chat topics in the future. So we have a short kind of survey kind of thing to fill out if you are interested in presenting a coffee chat in the future. We have all of 2023 open. And if you want to bring a topic, feel free to fill out that survey just to give us some more information and we can get you set up for that. But thank you all for your wonderful ideas. Like I said, we'll take these and work on them for the next year. We look forward to sharing with you all. And and having some of you lead some of these community events in the future. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Lindsay for our next skills development opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Laura. So I am really excited for this next skills exchange. We will be joined by Ayadola Anashe, who is part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Leadership Council, as well as the rest of the Leadership Council members, for bringing awareness to unconscious bias. So Ayadola kind of used a play on words for the title here, but it's conscious unbiased. So how can we consciously be unbiased? And so this skills exchange will focus on raising awareness and fostering equity. You can see that the objectives there are learning the definition of and underlying mechanisms of unconscious bias. We'll understand how unconscious bias shows up in environments and its negative impacts. And what I'm really looking forward to and inviting all of you into the conversation is to identify some of those strategies so we can be consciously unbiased in all of the incredible partnerships that we get to be a part of. And then finally, so this is a two-part skills exchange, like a lot of our skills exchanges. The first part will be more content-based, where Ayadola will be sharing some strategies to uncover and bring awareness to our biases. And then the second part will be more focused on a discussion where we can, identify opportunities to elevate, advance, and spread more awareness about conscious unbiased. Because of the topic and the more intimate discussions that we want to have during this skills exchange, this will be limited to 30 participants so we can facilitate those productive discussions. So we welcome everyone who is interested to register. We just ask that you ensure that you are available for both of the dates and times, and that you are also committing to actively participating in both of the sessions. We have a registration for that I can put in, or if Laura is finding that right now, we'll put that in the chat and welcome you to register, and then you will receive confirmation prior to December 8th. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Ayadola is incredible. I think many of you have heard her speak in the past, so it should be a very eye-opening opportunity, I think, for all of us. Any questions? Linda, I see your hand up.
Hey, everybody. This is future casting, but I know you all have repeated other skills development activities. It is killing me because I have a mandatory meeting right on top and exactly the same time on December 8th as that first session. So I'm not going to be able to sign up for this time, but I would love to think that this might get repeated again in the future. Do you all anticipate that?
That's a great question, and something that I think we would need to speak more with Ayadola about. I think it's definitely an opportunity. I think we were just kind of going to wait and see the interest that we have for this first set. But we'll keep that in mind, knowing that, not everybody can make these days and times. So yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
Well, I'm jealous of everybody who gets to do it.
I know.
And I can't wait to hear the feedback after it is over.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely share, what was learned, conversations, all of that. And I'll talk with Ayadola too and see if there's any opportunity to record pieces of her specific presentation that might be helpful to share out more broadly.
Thank you.
Not sure. Yeah, but great question. Thanks. Any others? All right. Well, we hope to see many of you there.
Lindsay?
What?
All right. I said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So these are our engagement opportunity updates for this past year. We have had about 46 total engagement opportunities, and these are the ones that are looking for specific experiences, or that we've reached out to patient family advisors specifically to participate in these engagement opportunities. Out of those 46, we've had 32 unique PFAs engaged, which means that some of those patient family advisors have doubled up on some. We've had a few people who have done more than 1 or 2 engagement opportunities, and we are forever grateful for you for engaging in those opportunities. And we hope that you all have gotten as much out of it as we have and our partners have. And we, of course, will always have more engagement opportunities in the future. We just wanted to kind of share the updates from 2022. I can't believe I'm saying that. And we have in the past year have provided over $65,000 to patient family advisors in stipends and compensation with those engagement opportunities. So thanks to our partners, and thanks again to all of you for participating in the past year. And we look forward to more in the future.
So I just have to say, when Stephen calculated the amount of stipends and compensation, it blew me away. Absolutely. But I want to pause there because I think it's a really great reflection, not of the work that we're doing, although Stephen's done a great job of keeping up with getting all those stipends distributed. But I think it's a real strong indication of the shift in the environment to compensating patient family partners. I think that is becoming much more the standard. I think that we've gotten a little bolder in requiring that from the partners that we're working with. And so a lot of those partners feel like it's much easier for us, in our projects to manage those stipends and getting those out, which is fine with us. We're happy to do that. But I really just wanted to pause and say, this is huge advancement in my mind, and would invite anybody else who has a comment, because I'm like, are you sure? Is that for the entirety of the patient family advisory network? Or, I mean, it was really exciting, I think. So, Rosie?
I guess I agree with you, Libby. To me, it's impressive. And I think back to when we had the compensation work group and some of the times that we thought about different ways of approaching this. And I think we let evolution take its place and let it evolve and things. And pretty soon the value of what we were doing and what we offered came to the top. And and I used to say that all the time. I used to say that eventually they're going to see the value in including us. Mm-hmm. I think the other side of that is too that, and I've told you this and I've told Laura this, the opportunities have been more engaging. Yeah. They have been better use of our time, better involvement, much more respect of the value of being, even like being on a group where I'd been involved with somebody on a group earlier, and him saying to me, Rosie, I'm so glad you're here. I mean, that is worth more than all the dollars in the world. Just someone from the medical community or from the, a physician saying, I'm so glad you're here, that, your voice is important. And I think that's, mm-hmm. that piece that we don't always talk about is the fact that there's a recognition of value happening across the continuum of engagement. And that I think is so important.
I agree. And I think it's in some part due to this community and really coming together under the concept of compensation. Those early work group meetings were rough because we were coming at it from a lot of different angles. And so as we're able to tackle some of these difficult conversations as a community and then move forward with a united sort of consensus voice, I think it's really helpful. I also, before I go to Anthony real quick, I also just wanted to mention that, you know, for anyone who's less experienced with patient-family partnership efforts, or who may be, you know, concerned or hesitant to ask for compensation, I think this really gives a lot of strength to that person to be able to say, well, this whole network is, you know, really promoting compensation for these efforts. And I just think that's a really important thing for some of our more novice community members. So, Anthony?
Well, I'll echo some of what you said. I think we need to find better ways to take that awesome compensation increase. We need to find better ways to increase our recruitment with it.
Yes.
We need to use it for that. I think I saw Emily's comment. I don't think regulatory agencies will have a problem when it's used for recruitment purposes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just small comments like that. And if we could funnel the fact that that's becoming a thing, you can increase your recruitment that way very easily.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks, Anthony, making that more visible. Linda?
So two things. One, I agree, Anthony, but I would, the other message that I think that needs to go out there when you talk about recruitment is that the term incentive not be used, but that this is a stipend for one's bringing their perspective to the same table as other professionals, and that it's not an incentive to buy patient voice, but because that term can really get flip-flopped around and become quite concerning. So I love the stipend and compensation terms. But the other thing I was going to mention that's kind of slots in with this, and part of what I believe is Rosie just a minute ago was saying too, I happened to have attended a meeting last week, or a retreat within the Southeast region. There's a leadership institute that I am now a part of, and this is the 4th cohort for this leadership institute that Emory is running, and it includes those in public health and primary care with our federally qualified health centers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the only person that's classified as a family leader in this cohort, and it seems that there's not been a family leader ever in any of the three previous ones either. And most of the people at in the cohort that I am in has never encountered the term patient family leader, patient family partner. It's not a concept that they were very aware of in the work that they're doing. So I'm going to do a lot of work this year with this particular cohort. But the other thing is we had a presenter, national level presenter, with a lot of letters after this person's name. And this person said, you know, we really appreciate everything everybody is doing. This is so important in the realm of leadership. But you know, what I have found is that many times voices aren't heard unless they have the right letters after their name. And the tension after that comment could have been cut by enough. And so a couple of us raised our hands to question that particular comment in her presentation. And she said, well, I think you just need to face the fact that there are diploma snobs out there, and that you're going to encounter it. And that's an issue that many of you will encounter. And so I throw that out there only in this whole compensation and being welcomed and respected, that I just was hearing that unfortunately that's not always the case. And that awareness that this person who works in DC at the national White House level, that was presented to a group of leaders at a conference.
Well, that is disheartening to say the least, of course. But I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that haven't experienced real partnership yet. And the more that we can get footholds, and the more that you can hold that space in that room and then open the door for the next folks, I think that's how we start to change minds. And that's how the fields have evolved over time. I know that we're at time, but I wanted to share a couple of opportunities for your input that we really wanted to get a sense of. If you go to the next slide, Laura, as Rosie mentioned, we formerly had a compensation guidelines work group back about 3-4 years ago. And so we feel like it's a great time for us to kind of survey the network and find out what are the current compensation practices. I'm really interested in helping health systems and research teams and quality improvement organizations to continue to move the compensation forward. So with that, I will follow up with this link to the survey. I think it was in the newsletter as well that just went out, but we'll follow up with that. Keep an eye out for surveys as well on the next slide. It's one of the quick and easy ways we can kind of take a pulse of the network. And so we will also be sending a poll on just basically, this was an idea that came from Glenn Culpelson, one of our PFA network members. He said, if we're trying to get people to think, organizations to think about partnership in different ways, wouldn't it be great if we all just dumped a huge list of all the different places we've partnered? And so that's what we're seeking to create, just with a quick, it might take some of you longer to share all the places you're partnering, but just to help people think outside the box. It doesn't always have to be a PFAC. Where are those other places that we can partner? So keep an eye out for surveys. Please take a few minutes to complete it. It just helps us to get a sense of the community and, again, build that consensus voice.
Thank you. And I just added the link to our forum where we will we'll send out these surveys and polls via email, but we'll also add them to our forum. So you can join the discussion there. That was kind of hard to say. But I believe that is it. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It was a great town hall. Have a happy holiday season. I still can't believe I'm saying that. And we'll see you all very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
You
Take
too.
care.